Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joyofbaking.com. Today we're going to make a Paris-Brest. Hopefully I've pronounced that right. Forgive me if I haven't. And this is what it looks like. I mean, it's just a gorgeous dessert. It's a round of choux pastry that we're going to fill with some cream, and then you can see this beautiful dusting of powdered sugar on top. So good. So the first thing we're going to do is our choux pastry. So preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 200 degrees Celsius. And then you will need a baking sheet like I have here. And then we are going to make a round, as you saw. So what I like to do is make an 8-inch round, and that's 20 centimeters. And then we're going to pipe the choux pastry. So, and we're going to do 2 rings of about 1 inch thickness, which is 2.5 centimeters. So what I like to do, I mean, if you're good at eyeballing, that's fine, but what I like to do, as you can see here, I got all my little pin marks, is I put all around at the 1 inch and at the 2 inch. So at the 2.5 centimeter and the 5 centimeter, just kind of as a guide, so when I'm piping, I can see what I'm doing. And then, of course, flip that over, because you don't want to put your choux pastry on a pin. And that's that. So, choux pastry, it's a little different because what you do is you cook it and then you bake it. So the first thing we're going to do, you need a saucepan, like a medium-sized saucepan, and you will need a 1/2 cup, which is 113 grams of butter, and I like to have it at room temperature, and I cut it because it'll melt faster. Put that in there, and then we need just, you know, choux pastry is not sweet, but we'd like a little bit of sugar, so I'm just adding 1 teaspoon, which is about 5 grams of granulated white sugar. And then we need a 1/2 cup, 120 milliliters of, you know, just tap water. And then we also need, some people just use water for their choux pastry. I'm going to make it a little bit like enriched, make it a little more rich tasting. So I'm going to use a 1/2 cup, 120 milliliters of whole milk. I mean, you could use even a reduced fat milk here. And just put that in. And then what we want to do, because we're going to bring that up to a boil and then we're going to add our flour. So I have in here 1 cup, 130 grams of all-purpose flour. You may know that as plain flour. And then I'm just going to add to that 1/2 teaspoon, 2 grams of salt, and just whisk that together because I just want to have that ready. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring this mixture up to a boil. We want the butter to melt before the water and the milk boils, so we don't have a lot of evaporation. So, you know, medium heat, I would say. And then you can either use a heat-proof spatula, or commonly a lot of people like to use a wooden spoon here, whichever you have in the house. Okay, so we're up to a boil, as you can see. So I'm going to take it off of the heat, and then I'm going to dump all my flour in there, and then we're just going to give that a good stir, and we're going to put it back on the heat, and a low, you know, medium-low heat here. And what we're going to do is, we're just going to stir that flour, kind of like making a roux, till now it looks pretty messy. Just keep stirring. We're going to cook the flour essentially for like probably 2-3 minutes. And what we're going to do is keep stirring it. Our arm's going to get a bit of a workout here until we have a nice smooth ball of dough that cleans the sides and bottom of the pan. So just, I would say, you know, 2-3 minutes. Okay, this is looking what I want it to look like. See, it's nice, smooth ball of dough. It's cleaned the sides of the pan. You may notice a bit of a film. That's okay. And turn that off. And now, what I'm going to do is pour this into my mixer. Because we're going to add now, we're going to beat it with some eggs. But first, That is really hot. So what I'm going to do is just put my mixer with the paddle attachment, or you could use a hand mixer, or you could just do it by hand. I'm going to beat this on low speed just to release some of the steam, because we don't want to add our eggs until our pastry here is at lukewarm. So I'm just going to beat it maybe like a minute. Okay, it's been about a minute or so. I'm just going to feel it. It's lukewarm. That's good. So now what we're going to do is, I have in a bowl here 4 large eggs. Have those at room temperature. And I'm just going to whisk them to break them up. And then we're going to, with the mixer on low speed, we're going to slowly add our beaten egg into our batter there. Now, you may or may not need all of this beaten egg. What we're looking for is a nice shiny dough. We want it to be like, so you can pipe it, so not too thin. And I'll show you what you're looking for, but I always check it before I add all of my beaten egg, because it depends on the absorption rate of your batter, whether you need to add it all or not. So don't just kind of blindly dump it all in and then go, oh, it's a little thin. So that's the trick of making this pastry. So I'm just going to have my mixer on low speed. And when you're adding your egg, it'll look really messy. The dough's kind of going to come apart and come back together, so don't worry. I'll just show you so you at home you can see. As you can see, this is what I'm talking about. It's going to look pretty messy when you start adding that egg. Show you what's going on here. See, as you can see, it's starting to come together. We're getting a nice smoother dough. Still, like, it's really thick. So I still have some egg left, but periodically check it, like I said, especially if the first time you're doing this. Hands are sticky there. And check it here. A good scrape. And we're pretty good, but as you can see, it should kind of fall off of your spatula in a ribbon, slow ribbon. And that's just a little too thick. So I'm probably going to need all of my egg here. I think we may be there. If you found it too thick, you may have to even use a part of another egg. So have an extra egg around. So I'm gonna, see, this is good. It's going to be thick enough to pipe, but not too thick. So give that a good nice stir. And you will need, we're going to pipe this, so you need some kind of piping bag. You can buy disposable types. Actually, you could use a plastic bag. And then I have just a round plain tip. I'm just going to put that. If you didn't have a round plane, then you could just use the end. If you're using a bag, just cut off the end. And then what I like to do is whenever I'm putting something in my pastry bag, I take my bag and I kind of twist it and I stick like that. So therefore it doesn't fall out, especially if you're piping something that's fairly thin, the thinner batter. Sometimes it can come out the other end. So if you do that, it helps you. So you don't have a mess on your counter. So just put that in there. So as you can see, you need a fair size piping bag here. And just so you know, this is the same choux pastry we use to make cream puffs, eclairs. So it's a good pastry or dough to learn how to make because you can do so many things with it. So now, it's a heavy dough. Press it all down. We want to get the air out of our bag. Get everything down to the bottom. Pretty good. So once you've kind of got it down there, then you can release it. And what I always do is, I'll do it over here just in case it comes out, is I like to push it down and then twist my bag. So use one hand, and you're right or left-handed. I'm right-handed, so I'm doing this, and this hand I'm going to use as a guide. So what we're going to do is pipe one ring and then another ring. So slow, even pressure. You want to fill in that, like, but what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use a little, because I find some of that to use as a seal here. So my paper doesn't flip up on me. So there, okay. Glue. So now what we're going to do is just pipe a ring using those marks I made as my guide for my thickness. But don't worry if it's not perfect. And then I just go, once I get to the end, then I just kind of put a little bit, and then I start on my inside ring. Try to butt the choux pastry, the second ring, butt it right up to the first ring. And then a little overlap. So now what we're going to do, we still have some dough left. So I'm going to do a ring in the center of these two on top. So wherever you want to start, nice thick. Now if you have I have a little left over, you can just kind of go in if there's some places that are a little thin, just go in and kind of, because you don't want to waste that. So we have our ring. So just a little trivia, why are we doing it in a ring? Well, the Paris-Brest, the name comes from, there is a bicycle race, started I think it was 1871, I'm not sure, I think that's the date. And it went from Paris to Brest and back to Paris. And so a pastry chef that lived along the route came up with this in honor, the ring is in the shape of a bicycle wheel. So that is why, if you're wondering why we do that. And so now we're going to brush the top with an egg, with some beaten egg for a glaze. Gives a nice shiny. So I just put just a pinch of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon in there. Whisk it. And then some people like to just wet their fingers and then kind of smooth out this ring. I actually do it with my glaze with my pastry brush. If it's not smooth, like you can see my piping's not perfect, then I can just, with my brush, kind of smooth all that out. So if your piping skills aren't great, don't worry about it. we can fix it. And you know, once it bakes, it kind of gets all ragged anyways, and then we're going to cut it in half, so it really, don't worry about it if it's not perfect. And you can always fix your shape too with your brush. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And then, well, if you want to decorate the top, I have some shaved blanched almonds. And just, it's traditional to do that. I think it adds a lot of the look, taste. So now we're going to bake. And people, I mean, it can be tricky here. So what we want to do, we're going to bake it at the 400 degree or 200 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes. And what that does is it sets the structure of our choux pastry. And then what we're going to do, so 15 minutes at the current temperature. Then after that, you drop your temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius. And we're going to do that for probably about 45 minutes, somewhere in 40 to 50 minutes. And so the 15 minutes sets our structure, outside structure of our choux pastry. And then the rest of the time is to dry out that center. There's lots of dough and we want to dry it out. So the inside will almost be hollow. Now it is important to bake this until it's really golden brown, and you have to bake it long enough, because the big problem is if you don't bake it long enough, the outside gets soft, and the dough's wet still inside, and then it will deflate. That is the common question I'm asked. And so really, you have to let it cook, the whole length of time and you can also, and do not open your oven door during this. At least till the 15, and then at least till 40 or 35, well, until it's really golden brown. And then if you think it's like too brown, okay, it may be done, because hopefully your oven isn't running hot. What you can do is just quickly, towards the end of baking, lift it up and kind of put a knife in there and see if the inside, if the dough is, if it's dried out inside. And then at the end of baking, at the end of the 45 minutes, turn your oven off, and you can open the door just a little and let it dry out in the oven with it off for about, I would say, half hour. And then we will come back and I will show you what it's supposed to look like at the end. So our choux pastry is now done. As you can see, it's a beautiful golden brown color. I did let it cool down, probably around 45 minutes, and it's still a little warm. So what I'm going to do is transfer it over onto a wire rack, and then we'll let it finish cooling. And at this point, as you can see, it's firm. So that's what you're looking for, beautiful golden brown color and nice and firm. So I'm just going to let that finish cooling off, and then when we come back, we will make our cream. Okay, so now we're ready to, we're going to whip our cream, but first I'm going to cut the round of choux pastry in half. So I'm using a serrated knife for this, and just kind of insert it and just, I don't know whether you can see, just cut. Try to get it round in the center as good as you can anyways, and there we go. I'd cut most of it so you didn't have to watch me, and then I'll just take off the top, and there we have our bottom. You know, if there is, sometimes you get like a little bit of moist dough you don't like, then just kind of take it off. No one's going to know but you. I mean, if you find that. And then just have a serving plate or a platter, and then just put the bottom one, and then we'll keep this one aside. Top it with that. So now, for the cream, there's different types of filling. I think the traditional is more like have a almond flavored praline cream or with the pastry cream. Personally, I kind of look at like this dessert as like a giant cream puff. And my cream puff that I like is whipped cream. And I am going to flavor it with a little vanilla, so it's more chantilly cream. That's what I like. If you prefer a pastry cream, there is a recipe along with the video on the site for that, and you could even lighten your pastry cream with some whipped cream. So really, you can kind of have fun with this, and you can put some people like toffee bits in their cream, or some, like I said, crush some praline. Really, it's up to you. So now, you can whip your cream by hand. We're using 1.5 cups, which is 360 milliliters. I like to use cold heavy cream and heavy whipping cream. By that I mean cream with a 35 to 40% butterfat content, or what that means is when I whip it, it will reach stiff peaks. So that's what you're looking for. So just, you could do this by hand, I often do, but I'm going to be lazy here, and I'm going to use my stand mixer with the whisk attachment. You want to do it by hand, just with a wire whisk, perfectly all right. And then I like to sweeten my whipping cream. I actually, because this is not a sweet pastry, as you know, we only put like 1 teaspoon of sugar. So I am going to be a little more generous with my sugar. I'm going to put about 3 tablespoons, which is about 35 grams of granulated white sugar. You could use less, you could use more. It's really how sweet do you like your cream. And then, like I said, I'm going to do a vanilla flavor. So I'm adding about 3/4 of a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. That would be about 3 grams. And then I'm just going to whip this to stiff peaks. Okay, we're done. Now, if you have, which has happened to me, if you over whip it, which can happen, you step away for a minute, you know, just add a little more of heavy cream and then just whip it again and it will thin out. It happens to the best of us. So this is what we're looking for. We want it nice and stiff because we are going to pipe it. You don't have to, but I am going to pipe it here. Give that a quick whisk. So I am using, like I said, again, we're using a pastry bag, and I'm using a star tip. Really, you can use, you know, open or closed star, or you can really, if it's just for the family, just spoon your whipping cream right on there if you don't want to get fancy. And like I said, you could add some crushed toffee, praline, some ground almonds if you would want to do that. What you know, my kids like if I put some raspberries or strawberries, some fresh fruit. That's very nice as well. So experiment, have some fun with it. Oh, just put that in there. And just, again, just twist the end of your bag and then just push to you like that. And one hand, other is a guide. And I'm just going to do, I think, just big swirls. How much cream you like, you know, you can use less, you can use more. Okay, that looks nice. So then we'll just take our top, like so. Isn't that gorgeous? And then just have some powdered sugar in a strainer and over the top. And we have our Paris-Brest. Oh, I just think that's a gorgeous dessert. Now, if you can serve it right away, and if you do, then the choux pastry will be quite firm, and But if you prefer, I actually tend to make this a few hours before I'm going to serve, because then the outside crust, the cream will kind of soften that. It depends how you like it. Let's see if we can cut this. Yes, we can. Oh. You can hear, no, I didn't hear that, the nice crisp choux pastry. So, you know, whichever way you like it. Cut through there. And there we have it. Isn't that gorgeous? I'll have to put it here. I forgot to bring a plate. So I'm just going to take, which I always do this when I have a cream puff. I take the top off and then put some cream on it and eat it in 2 parts. And that's what I'm going to do here. Now that is really wonderful. The crispness of the choux pastry and the whipping cream, it's perfect. So, you know, try this dessert. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com.